Dr. Nirpan.
Thank you so much, Radhakrishna, and thank you so much, Isaka, for this opportunity to speak to all of you. I have tried to respond as much as possible on chat while Navi sir was presenting. So Navi sir, I have tried to respond as much as possible, and I think there's a question I was about to reply, which talks about how one can reach out to me or any one of our member. I think um, Radhakrishna sir is going to share the details. Yeah, you can be part of the chapter, and Radhakrishna sir will be able to add you in our knowledge net channel. So yeah, please reach out to him, or I'm available in LinkedIn
Yes, sir. We are
along with
sharing a
Navi sir.
Google form at the end, sir,
Yeah.
so that the
So
participants can share their details. We'll
yeah,
contact them. We'll help them out, sir.
and in FDPPI, just to add, we all believe knowledge should be free. So free flow of knowledge in data privacy field we provide as much as possible. Um, I would share my screen. Let me know if it's visible. Let me know if you see my screen.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, perfect. So, before I get into the topic for discussions, I would like you all to imagine a scenario. So think about a national level company. Okay, I'm not talking about any multinational. Just think about any national level company. I would not like to name anyone. You can think of maybe a bank. You can think of maybe a consumer brand, a clothing brand, a supermarket, any brand you think of, and think of the brand is exist only within India. So it might looks like as a national organization that within India there might be not much footprint, but when you search in Google, and this is the data I have got from Google itself, that in India we have already know 28 states, 8 union territories, and 400 cities in India. Now think of a bank, any bank, national, private, or maybe small finance. If they have approximately 5 branches, I'm just going roughly in number 5, which is it might be more than that, then for a small bank we are looking at approximately 2000 branches. For a national level bank, when I googled it, I found that their branches are more than 22,000 across India. So that's an organizational size which you look at. Okay, and then you can multiply it, the number of customers, or in this case the number of personal data they are dealing with. And I believe maybe most of the banks, apart from the local banks, they they use they do digitized data. So the impact is going to be huge when it comes to India. And as for national level players, apart apart from IT Act, which was known as SPDI 2011, this is a big change which they are going to experience. So the market or the organizations need to be open for much more career opportunities or job opportunities, and this is exactly what I'm going to talk um, through. And I named this slide emerging DP roles within the Indian industries. And when anyone talks about any job in data privacy, or a company needs to hire someone for data privacy, the very first thing pops up in everyone's mind is exactly this, what you see on your screen. Again, this is the term we heard it, we hear it on a regular basis. DPO, or data protection officer, or in some organization they call it privacy lead. Okay, we find DPO as a mandatory obligations for significant data fiduciary. They need to appoint a data protection officer who have to be based out of India. That's all we are aware of. For the non-significant one, who are the data fiduciaries, they need someone to take care of data privacy within the organization. Let's call them as privacy lead. So this is the primary role I'm pretty sure you guys or you all have already experienced or you have already seen that Indian job market is flooded with these opening. Now, the reason which I believe, and this is purely my personal view, whatever I'm going to present here, and based on my research and speaking with my contacts or connections, okay, the company's perception might be that all they need is a DPO or all they need is a privacy lead, and they are done. They will take care of everything. But you need to understand, okay, as a DPO, I am not a Superman, or I'm a normal human being, so I have a limitation of work or activities. So what all at a national level organization and purely national level, okay, at a small or medium scale industries, the role might be clubbed, but at a national level organization, what all emerging roles that I foresee from my side that I'm going to present to you. The first role which I see, and there was a question in the chat with a scenario that someone made data publicly available. What should be the next step? And this is exactly where the number one comes into picture. Every organization need a team who will investigate each and every data incident or potential security incident or data incident, and they will reach at a conclusion and will file the reporting. Now you might say that why it needs a team or why it needs one person. Now again, if you club the number, if you think of the nationalized bank, which have got 22,000 branches across India, and if the reporting rate or if the incident rate is at approximately 5 to 10%, then you can see the daily incident number, how much it is coming at. So this is the very first role which I oversee coming in. Okay, a DPO, for a DPO, it is not possible to invest the entire time in investigation and reporting. Based on the rules of investigation or rules for reporting that is yet to be published by the Data Protection Board of India, which we are still waiting. But what I believe is not every investigation or not every incident needs investigation. Some just needs reporting. Some needs reporting along with further investigation, along with the involvement from data protection officer or the privacy lead. So the first role in Indian industry that I see is a requirement for a team who will be doing investigation and will be filing report to the supervising authority. The second one, which is again on obligation for significant data fiduciary to conduct privacy impact assessment. I would not only recommend significant data fiduciary just because it's their obligation to go on for it. This is a very good practice. I think most of us are already aware of privacy impact assessment or conducting privacy impact assessment is a great practice to ensure we comply to privacy by design. So we might see that not only significant data fiduciary, but the data fiduciaries who are not significant, they might also start following the PIA culture, or may call it DPIA culture, or some call it SIA or solution impact assessment culture as well. And it needs a reviewer team or a person who will be guiding the project team, connecting with them, getting the PIA drafted and documented. And finally, when it is ready and everything is done, the PIA should be raised with the data protection officer or the privacy lead or maybe the legal team or maybe any relevant authorities within the organization for their approval and to document it and follow up. So the second emerging role within an organization, which I see is a PIA team, PIA reviewer, whatever you want to call it. But yes, there will be a requirement. But again, think of the size of an organization. Third one, Navisa touched on it. I think DSAR team or a subject access request team. There is a there is a very bold and big discussion within this bill which gives rights to data principals for rectification, for erasure, for stop processing, for disclosure. So this needs an organization to establish maybe an automated solution. There are many automated solutions available in the market, but even if you add an automated solution, it needs someone to manage and manage that particular software tool platform, whatever you want to call it, and respond within timeline. Because if you do not respond within timeline, it will be escalated to the board. So the third role within the Indian industry, which I see, is you know subject access request expert, subject access request analyst, team lead, manager, whatever you want to call it. And again, this team closely works with the data protection officer or privacy lead for advice and guidance where and when required. The fourth one is basically the assurance. Assurance is required. I mean, you have established a process for investigation, you have established a process for PIA, you have established a process for DSAR, you have established a process for grievance readdressal. But it's really important for the organization to demonstrate that these processes are being followed. And this is where, organization needs to demonstrate assurance. Now, the question might come, then why the DPO is getting paid? Now, again, I would go back to my previous statement. A DPO is not a Superman. Okay, it is not possible for DPO to, do an end-to-end assurance audit or assurance activity. They can do where it is required. They can pick up the assurance activity where it's required. But for an organization, for a national level organization who have got at least one branch in each cities, that's come somewhere around maybe approximately 500 to 600 branches across India. It is logically or physically not possible for a DPO to visit each and every branch throughout the year and conduct an assurance audit and get it checked. That needs a separate person to be done. It it needs to be internal to me, but if the act allows and if the service provider comes with options for external, this option can go external as well. But an organization needs to ensure or demonstrate assurance to all the policies that they are bringing on. The next one I see is an internal auditor. Number 5. What's internal auditor? I think all of us are, within this ISACA are aware of 3 line of defense: first line, second line, third line. So the role 1 to 4, whatever you see there, they're either part of first line or part of second line of defense. This is the role I'm talking about, a third line of defense, where they will check the checker, audit the auditor. Okay, but this team is currently, you might say, ISO is there, but this is purely, I'm talking about internal, where they will be checking the assurance being done properly or not. So we'll see internal auditor position, especially focusing on data privacy part. The number 6 will come training, comms, and awareness. I think I mentioned on the chat in one of the response, look, awareness and training is important. Now, we might think that, okay, we don't need number 3, DSAR, because we will not tell anyone that, you have right of DSAR. The problem will come not only in DSAR, the problem will come when you have to oblige to report an incident within a certain time period. Let's give an example. So let's consider the timeline we have received, or the current timeline that we have in India for certain guidelines is 6 hours. Now the 6 hours clock starts from when the business gets aware of it. Now the most common question which we all come across, what is the definition of business? So the definition of business is everyone within the organization, starting from uh, maybe the front desk staff to the managing director or to the chairman. Each and everyone is part of the business. And if any one of them aware of a potential incident, it is their responsibility to inform the authority within the organization or report it within the organization. If they miss doing that within the timeline, within the speculated timeline, there will be heavy penalty that the organization is going to face. This is just one example of training, comms, and awareness. And on top of that, I always speaks about human firewall. That's a different topic altogether. We might discuss it on another day. But human firewall is the first and the last line of defense for any organization. And human firewall can only be switched on with proper training and awareness and comms. So, to a national level organization, which will not have consumers or customers, but will have employees, massive number of employees. Okay, it's really important that each and every employees, along with the external customers or data principals, they get aware of and they get proper training, they get proper awareness and proper comms they receive time to time. Again, these are all will be verified, validated, or maybe consulted with the data protection officer or privacy lead. But again, I would stress a DPO or a privacy lead is not a Superman. Okay, they cannot do end-to-end training, awareness, and comms. They can definitely be part of a training, deliver it, but arranging the training or fixing how the method of the training is going to happen, it needs a dedicated team unless an organization want to automate it. Okay, but again, training can be automated, but awareness and comms, they need a special team. This can be consumed within the existing team of an organization, but again, this role will come if an organization doesn't have one. So that's number 6 from my side. The 7th one and the most important one, which you all may be hearing quite a lot these days, is data governance or data mapping. Um, to comply with this law, the organization first need to know where is their data located or from where the data is coming and where all the data is going or transferred or processed. This is the part which is called data mapping, and this is overall called data governance. So you might have seen certain trainings available, certain softwares available from various national and international companies for data mapping, data governance, but it needs dedicated person within the organization. Again, this particular team or this particular people will be working very closely with the data protection officer or the privacy lead, along with various other departments like HR, finance, so and so. But yes, this is another role that we see emerging within the industry. That's number 7. Number 8, GRC. It's a well-known phrase to us, governance, risk, and compliance. Okay, organization might have this already because there's a very well-known framework within the industry. But when it comes to managing 1 to 7, if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever we discussed till now, okay, if an organization wants or if an organization have the capacity to add this GRC framework within the existing team, it's fine. But there is definitely, from my personal side, I would see definitely there is a requirement will come who would have to govern, manage, comply, and report. As Navisa said, the board need to sit and discuss. Someone needs to do the reporting to the board. Definitely, it's DPO's responsibility. DPO should be responsible. DPO should be part of the highest level of management or reporting to the highest level of management, and they would be report periodically. But again, the DPO is not a Superman, right? He needs support. So someone should be there to govern, manage the risk, the issues, the matters, and the compliance activities that is happening within the organization. So one GRC role especially for data protection that is emerging within the industry. And number 9, consent manager, a well-known phrase, well discussed phrase after this act came into life. Consent manager, I'm not talking about consent manager from a data principle standpoint. I'm talking about consent managers within an organization. Okay. Uh, you might say, is it a full-time job? Can't it be automated? Yes, it can be automated. It can be automated through a system, but there is someone required who will manage all these consents or all these systems and will closely monitor, change, and update accordingly. Okay, again, they will be closely working with DPO or privacy lead because the complaint for any violation of consent will come to the DPO or the privacy lead, which requires support from this particular dedicated team. Uh, if you if you're thinking why we need a person to take care of consent, just imagine the product sold by any national level bank and how many consent they will be dealing from now onwards. Okay, based on their customer base. I mean, just as an example, if someone have one savings account, one public provident fund account, 4 to 5 mutual fund with a bank, okay, that individual average looking at 6 consents. Okay, so the bank has to manage 6 consent for that one individual. You can multiply it with the number of customer base, which you can Google and find out. So it requires a, maybe more than one, but as of now, let's keep it one consent manager each organization to take care and manage all the consent, look into the updates coming from government, and ensure that the existing software system comply to the requirement. Well, I can speak all day, but Mr. Rao gave me a very strict timeline, so I'm added only 10, and the number 10 what I have added is called a CDO. Okay, the full form of CDO is Chief Data Officer. This is a very new, fairly new concept, maybe 4 to 5 years old, coming into system, which India may not see right now, but as Indian law, this new law will be more mature, more and more mature, you will see this coming into picture. Chief Data Officer. CDO is a complete separate function. Okay, it needs a whole session to talk about CDO, but you can definitely search. You can see. Recently, we have seen, part of the PIPL China. China has come up with this CDO concept. So, I'm not saying we'll be inspired, but CDO is required. CDO, Chief Data Officer, is completely different function than a data protection officer within an organization. But yes, maybe not now, down the line, 12 months or within the new era of digital India, we will see this role will be emerging for sure in going forward. So that's pretty much from my side.